in math, we're going to do a lot of algebra stuff, pinpointed for algebra. Remember when you take star sets, and at the end, I let you look at your results, and it'll say, like, is meeting algebra expectations, exceeding, remember that part in your star set? Like, this is algebra. This is the start of it. Okay, so hopefully now, once we get through some of this, it'll maybe be meeting some of those expectations because you kind of know and understand what's going on. So, first of all, I think my first definition, and you probably have it written down as a variable. Now, a variable can be a letter. It really can be any letter. Most of the time in algebra, we see it as a specific letter. What letter do you think it is? X. A lot of times it's X. It can be anything, so don't let that screw you up. For example, this, you see this, pretty much the same thing. They're just using a different letter. They just chose something different. Now, a variable is a placeholder for something. It's basically like a puzzle. Algebra is a puzzle. You have to find what it is. A lot of people are scared of algebra because there's so many letters and so many numbers, but really your job is to find something that is a puzzle for you. So if you like puzzles and like finding things, like this is for you. Some of you maybe don't. And honestly, some of you are going to be super good at this. Some of you are going to be terrible at it. It's going to take practice. Practice, practice, practice. Some of you are going to be super good at geometry when you get there. And some of you aren't. It's said a lot of times if you're an algebra mind, sometimes geometry is a little more harder for you, or vice versa. So just because maybe you're struggling at this doesn't mean you're not good at it. It's just going to take practice. Yep.
Isn't geometry just like squares?
Shapes. And I love it. I didn't get to teach it last year because I was out school, but I love geometry stuff. And you guys will like it too, I promise. So variable, it can be something. Your job is to find what it is. Oops. All right. So stop talking. Stop. If you needed this, you better be listening. Don't be talking over me. Okay, a few other definitions. I think there's 3 other definitions up here. The first one's a constant. This is a number that's not going to change. Okay, so like for example, a number that's not going to change. If I have x plus 2, what if there's a constant? What if there's never going to change? No. 2 is never going to change. I could say x is 3. Next time, x could be 4. Next time, x could be 6. Right? So what if there's never, ever, ever going to change that 2? Right? What up here is a constant? 3. Can D be 100 different things? Yeah. Yeah, it can be 100 different things. Your constant's always pretty much what's already there for you. Okay, fair enough? Okay. Algebraic expression. It consists of one or more variables. For example, an algebraic expression can look like this. That's an expression. It could be, that's an expression. This is an expression. That's an expression. Okay, so basically, it can have variables in it, letters, and it can have more than one. Don't let that freak you out. Evaluate means substituting a number for a variable. So for example, let's say I have this. I have 3 plus d, and I say d is 6. Taking that 6 and putting it in for d, that's substituting it. And then solving it is evaluating. Evaluating always means to solve. I can't tell you how many times I have people come up and say, what is the word evaluate? It always means solve. Finishing it out, finding the answer. Okay? So if you need to jot some of this stuff down, go ahead and do that. Let's see, and this would be, let me just finish this out. All right, so we better so far? We know what some of this stuff is? Okay. All right. Can I go to the next one? All right, so what does that mean? Now, here's the problem. Somebody told me that x means in algebra, like just a variable, right? Now, what's the problem with using x as a variable and x as like multiplication? What's the problem, Jack? We can get mixed up real bad. Because sometimes all of a sudden x shows up as a letter and now it's a multiplication sign and I don't know what it means. Okay? So, when you have two things that are exactly beside each other, They dropped the X because they don't want you to get confused. Because it could look like this, right? Look at that. What does it mean? So a lot of times they'll put two things together and that means multiply. Multiply. I've had people do this before. If I say A is 7, it happens every year. Every year a 7th grader does this. They'll have to say, okay, well if A is 7, this means 37. What's the error I just made? It's supposed to multiply. What should really this be?
21.
Every year it happens to somebody. And maybe you're like, already happened to me, I already know my homework class, I already happened. Every year it happens. So if I have 4F and I say F is 1, what should that really be? 4. 4 times what? Is it 41? No! Happens every year. Okay? Alright. Let's back up. Sometimes they'll throw a third one in there. It still just means multiply all. 4 times C. So if I say C is 1 and D is 2, is it 412? No. What should it be? 8. Because 4 times 1 is 2 is 8. Yep. So whenever you have 2 things, 3 things beside each other, it means multiply. Sometimes you also see it like this. I don't know. That also means multiply. They just put the parentheses on it. It means the same thing. Okay. Same thing there. Also down here, this is something a little different. And I think we talked about this maybe at the beginning of the year. That line is division, remember? Okay. You're going to see a lot of that this year also in this section. So m over 2 means m divided by 2. Oh. Good. Good. I feel better about this. You know, I wasn't here. I still feel better about it for me. I wasn't even here. Okay? All right. This is the tricky part. I'm thinking you all know what it stands for. P stands for what? Excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? But what does it really mean? Parentheses, exponent, multiplied by subtract. Okay, so here's the thing about this. There's one thing we're not going to really focus on today. Which one do you think it is? P-E-N-T-A-S.
Oh,
A-S.
E.
E. We're not going to talk about it. Okay? But you have to know how this stuff works. So what do you have in your notebook? Because I have a picture we can draw. You need to draw a picture?
I just have mine.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. Ready? Picture. First thing you're going to do is you're going to write P. It's going to go down like this. If you don't want it, you don't have to write it. But you can add it. Sure. You can add it. Or you have it. You have the picture.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't know my picture. But you can keep that. That's not wrong. This is just an easier way to help you remember what is more important than the next. So parentheses, and I'm going to put a box around it. Okay, because that's number 1. Okay. Same thing with exponent. So if you know, you can tell from here to how this is the most important. Then we get down to the least important. Let's hold that one. Okay, and then the next part, I'm not going to put D by, or M and D. I'm not going to put them by themselves. This is how I'm going to put them. That's how I'm going to put them. And you're probably like, why is she doing that? But I'll show you. And then beside it, I'm going to write left to right. My board's come off on this. In parentheses, and I'll show you why I do that in a second. And then adding and subtracting is also going to be the same way. And then I put left to right. Is this the part you guys have problems on? Some of you as physics major at Sally know what to do first and last and second, and not on it so far. This is tricky. So here's the thing, but please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. A lot of people think they know parentheses come first, exponents come second, and then they get confused about everything else. Because M comes before D, so everybody thinks that multiplying has to be done before all division. which is not true. Multiplying and dividing are equally important, hence why they're on the same line. They're equally important. You do what comes first, left to right. It doesn't matter if multiplication's first or division first. You do whatever comes first, left to right. That's why so many people get confused. Have you guys ever seen, like, on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, sometimes people post problems like this, and they'll try to solve them, and they'll get, like, 1,000 different answers. Has anybody ever seen that before? You know what I'm talking about? People will post a problem, a big, long problem, and people will solve it, and they'll post their answers below, and there's, like, thousands of different answers, and it's because people aren't following this. They don't understand the rules. So if you knew the rules, you get the right answer. So let me give you an example, okay? So let's do 7 plus 2 times 5 plus 6. Okay. What would I need to do first here? What would I need to do first? First, we have to literally look through and think, okay, what do I have in here? I have addition and multiplication. According to my thinking, what has to come first? Multiply. So these are the two you're going to multiply. 10. Now, it's really important when you're doing these things to do it in steps. If you don't do it in steps, you're going to get lost. And that's maybe why some of you were confused about this. What I do next is I bring everything down that I did not use. That makes it way easier. So you can see the next step. Well, what do I have left? 2 addition, right? So it doesn't matter left to right. That's the rule, left to right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two. 17 plus my 6, which would be, let's see, 23. Yep. Now let me add a little more complicated stuff in there, okay? So let's do 3 times 4 divided by 6 plus 9. 3 times 4 divided by 6 plus 9. What do we see in there? Multiply, divide, and add. So according to 365 yard value, what are the things that are the most important? And divide, thank you. Multiply and divide, because they're on the same line, right? So since I'm multiplying and dividing, I'm going to go from left to right and do that stuff first. So technically, what do I have to do first? Yep, I'm going to do this first. 12, and then I'm going to bring everything down I did not use. Now it's important. This, right? 2 plus 9 equals 11. Yep. Use it steps. That's what's so important, and that keeps everything in mind. Change.
Do we have to do 2 lines or just do it on the 1?
Do it on the 1. Well, did you show somehow that this was 2?
What? I just did it on that 3 times 4.
That's fine, but sometimes it's going to get to be too confusing where you can't do that. Like, don't get too long or be like, okay, I have to write some things out.
Okay.
Fine. As long as you show me something below, okay? So then I can see, like, if you make a mistake, then I can find your mistake and help you. Otherwise, I'm never going to know, okay? Let me try another one. Let's do 10. What's the most important thing?
Dividing and multiplying.
Dividing and multiplying.
Divide first.
I have to divide first because why this?
Because the
Yes,
ones
That's
that
right, yes. So don't automatically think, well, n comes before d, so I have to do my multiplication first. That's not true. You go from left to right. So this would be 2, and then I have this, be 6 plus 7, 13. Yep. So many people will get that confused. Let me give you another really harder, let me give you a harder one that a lot of people will not understand. So let's do 30 divided by 6 times 5 minus 10. What's important?
divide them.
I got to do dividing and multiplying first, right?
Divide.
What I got to divide first. Why, King?
Left or
Left to right. Now let's do that. Okay, so this would be what? And then I have this right. Yep. So it'd be 25. This would be subtract. Sorry. So it'd be 25 minus 10, which would be 15. Let's say you say, oh well, the m comes before the d. Let's solve it. So let's say somebody does this first. See how it can be a different answer if you don't do the correct thing first. See that? I did multiplication first because it comes first, but you know in reality, What do you have to do first? Not sure if you're left or right. Yep, does that make sense? You remember that? Kind of hard, kind of tricky. All right, I'm gonna give you guys some to do by yourself. Evaluating n plus 9 for each value of n. If I know what n is 3, what do I need to do? What, Peyton, what do I have to do?
So, what if we did these?
You did these already? Let's just talk about it. Can we just talk about it? Maybe should I make it harder? Let's make it harder. Okay, let's do R equals 4, C equals 6, D equals 1. Okay? You try these by yourself. Let's do 2R minus C. Let's do RC plus D. You try those by yourself. You try those by yourself. Now, why do you suppose that we have to use physics to measure inside for some of these? Like, why do we have to talk about that? Why do we have to talk about that? Okay?
Because there's multiplying.
Yeah, you gotta know what to do first. You gotta know what to do first. So here's what I suggest. When you're getting some, actually I don't suggest it, I ask that you do it. When you're getting something like this, you automatically write it how it's supposed to be. So automatically, you're going to write it like this. 2 times R minus C. That's how the first thing should be on your paper. You automatically write it with what's supposed to be in there. Because if you don't, guess what? You're going to say, okay, what was R again? What was D again? What was C again? Oh, I think this is the answer, and you're going to have something wrong because you didn't put the right number in. Now, how am I going to solve this? What's first? Grace?
2 times 4.
Yep, so I get 8 minus 6 should be 2. You automatically have to write it out. What's R? 4. What's C? 6. Now, do you have to write it like me? You can do it like this if you want. I don't care. Plus, what's D? 1. So, really, this answer should be what? 25. Should be 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
What one was the second one?
This one should be 25. They're the same. I just wrote them different ways. I just wrote them different ways. Some people like to have this multiplication sign in the middle. Some people use parentheses. Some people will use the dot, however you need to see it. Okay? So far, so good? Now, I know I said we aren't going to do something with the next one, but let's just try it. Let's do 4. What have I got up here? Was anything 2? We'll do, let's say C is 2 now. I'm going to do this. C is 2, but I'm going to do 4C squared. So we're just going to practice one with the next one. This is a little one, so I'm pretty sure there's something like this in your homework. So I want to make sure that you kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
So what's C? 2, right? So this is how it looks. Now a lot of people don't understand the exponent. They say, well, what does the exponent go with? I get this question every year. The exponent goes with the number that's in front of it. Nothing to do with the 4. Because if you do please excuse my dear Sally, what comes first? The exponent, right? So we have to do this first. What's 2 squared?
4.
4. It's really 4. Because 2 times is 4. So this is what it looks like. Okay? All right, you try one with the next one now. Ready? You try one with the next one. So let's do 7. We'll keep C at 2. We'll do C to the 3rd power. 7C to the 3rd. Write it out if you're sure. 7. That's how it's going to look. you're not sure, that's okay, just sit and watch. You can sit and watch. Okay, and what does that 3 go with? Does it go with the 14? Does it go with 2? What does it go with? 2. What does 2 to the 3rd power look like? What does it look like? Written out, okay?
2 times 2 times 4.
You bet. So 2 times 2 is 4. It's not 2 times 3. If you said 6, it's not 6. Some people say 2 times 2 is 6. No, but this is how many times 2 times itself. 2 times 2 is 4, so this should be 8. Times 7 should be 56 as your answer.
I did that 2 times 2.
Did you have this part? Do you have this part? Should we do another one of those?
Yeah.
Let's do another one. 4. Oh, this time you do the 3rd this time. I had to do the 2nd. Let's do another. Let's do, all right, let's do 6, C to the 3rd, and I'm gonna actually I'm gonna do the 2nd, and I'm gonna change what C is. C is gonna be 3 this time. So how is it gonna look? It's gonna look like this. Okay. Now what would this look like? What's 3 to the 2nd power look like? It's like this. Yep. Is it?
Yeah.
So it's 6.
No.
Oh, it's 6. What was the last one? Oh. There you go. All right, I'm gonna do one more, and I want you to try it. Turn around, Landon. You try it now. You can do it. Okay? You can do it. So let's do 5. C is gonna be 2 again. We're gonna do C to the 4th. So write it out. Figure out what your exponent is, and then worry about that 5. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, this is how you have it written out. Remember, what has to come first? Would you multiply 5 and 2 first? No. No, because that's multiplication. That comes in like the 3rd row of physics in my Exponent is the first. So what does this really look like? What is that? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 4 times. So what is that? 2 times 16. Okay. 80?
Yeah.
All right, that's not a really good looking 8. Okay. Does everybody understand the exponent a little better? I get questions on that all the time, every year. All right, I'm going to keep going here. We're almost done. Okay, we kind of did something like that already. Oh, 2 variables. Are you guys okay with 2 variables and then solving? Yes? You do something like this?
Yeah.
This is where you put it in. So x is 7, y is 9. So it'll be 7 times 9 divided by 3. And this is the only time, just listen, when you have something like this, this is the only time, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, like, you can't follow it sometimes. Sometimes you can't always follow it. Because what has to come first, regardless of what? The top stuff has to come first. Whether you're dividing first or whatever, you have to do your top stuff first. That's just the way it is. Okay? And then you can solve. Is it all 754 divided by 321? Okay. I'm going to do a few more, and I want you to try them in your notebook. Find somewhere, I don't care where you put them, in the same lesson or on the back, I don't care. So let's try some practice. Okay? All right, here we go. We're going to do A is 3, B is 4, C is 5. 2. Alright, try those for yourself. Write them in steps. Make sure the first thing you do is you write out how it should look. I hope this was helpful for this lesson. Hope. Is there anything while you're done, if you're done, is there anything else that you want me to go over that didn't went over well, or you want me to go over again? You gotta tell me, because I don't know. And
Like the stuff where you have to
Community.
like
that'll be like tomorrow,
tomorrow.
or the next day. I'll hit that in the next week.
I don't get it. Like I got my answer like 4 steps. Counted it wrong.
Okay. We'll look at it. Okay. We'll look at it. Sometimes I'm not too picky on that because you do it anyways. So, yeah.
What's number 2? Is it 18 or 8?
Up here? Yes. Ooh, good question. We'll figure it out. Let's talk about the first one. Anybody need a few more seconds yet? Keep going. Keep going. Ready? Good. All right, let's talk about this one. This is how you should have the first one written out. It should look like this. Now you could have had it like this too. It does not matter to me how you have it written out. First thing I have to know is the multiplication. 6 + 4, 10. Go on the first one?
Yes.
Okay. Second one's trickier. So 6 and then C is 5 minus 4 and A is 3. So your question might be, what do I do first here? Because I have two multiplication. What do I need to do? Well, okay, multiplying, we're going to subtract last. So this is 30 minus what? 12. Yep. That would be 18.
I thought the 6 was a B.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's not your fault. I just thought.
That doesn't look like a
That's
B.
what I thought.
Same.
See,
Oh,
put it down as a B.
That's not a B.
Yes,
That's
it's
a
a
B. I think that's a pretty good looking 6. That's really good. I bet you rate it. Okay, so anyway. Why not? Okay, now we're in class. So you know, future reference, your book, you'll know from your book. Evidently, it's not distinguished enough, but that's okay. We'll move to the next. B, this is a B.
same.
Well, if you thought it was a B, evidently it would have been the right answer, so everybody else got that. This one, this is the tricky one. So what is B actually supposed to be? 4. So it looks like this. Okay. You thought that was a 6? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Okay, I was gonna say. What has to be done first here? Is it gonna be 12 squared or 4 squared? 4 squared. So you know 4 squared is 16. Times 3, 48. Yep. Do you have any questions for me? Any questions for me? Okay, go grab my stuff at the printer.